as of today, March 12th, the Patriots have a quarterback other than Jarrett Stidham on the roster. As breaking news this morning, the Patriots re-signed quarterback Cam Newton on a one-year deal with a max of $14 million to it. We'll get more into the contract in a bit with the details that are known about it. But the deal is official. Cam Newton has been brought back to play for the Patriots for one more year. So, at this point, I don't know what we're going to get out of Cam Newton. Cam Newton looked awful last year, but also looked very good in little moments. He had his times where he couldn't read a blitz, didn't care if the blitz was coming, didn't make any changes, threw the ball into the dirt, always wanted to scramble out of the pocket even though his legs aren't what they used to be. The one good, amazing positive I can give him, and it overrules a lot of things, is that he's a great competitor and a great person in the locker room. He doesn't back down from a challenge. He's always trying to uplift the guys around him, and he's not like an egotistical maniac like some of the other quarterbacks around the league that teams have to deal with. So, at this point, the contract he's been given, according to Albert Breer, is that the deal is essentially a beefed-up version of last year's incentive-heavy Patriots contract for Cam Newton. Last year's deal was worth up to $7.5 million with a base value of $1.5,700,000 per game in-game roster bonuses and $5.75 million in incentives. So, if the deal was worth 7.5, you're almost doubling that amount. So expect some of these values to be doubled from last year. So expect a little bit more in a base salary, and it's mostly incentives from what it seems like. Which how that works is when you have incentives that are not likely to be earned, that's how they're deemed. The cap for those incentives pushes to the following year. So, for example, if of the $14 million, 8 of it is not likely to be earned, that cap hit, if it does get paid for, it goes towards next year. So, it won't affect the Patriots cap this year, which is good news for the Patriots going into free agency this year, because they'll be able to sign many players to help build this roster up. I'm hoping with this scenario that the Patriots do try and make a move for Mac Jones. He's the quarterback I want to get from this draft. I'm not a huge fan of Trey Lance, and the other 3 quarterbacks won't even be there between Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields. So that's where I'm going with this. And the reason I'm so negative on Cam after last year, this is Cam's stats from last year. In 15 games, he went 7-8, had out of 368 attempts, 242 completions for 65.8 completion percentage. It's okay with 2,657 yards. That's very low for considering the number of games he played. And his touchdown interception ratio was 8-10. 8 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions. This dude could not pass the ball. As much as people are going to put it on COVID, which I'm sure had something to do with it. I have no question comparing how people who got COVID in the NFL this year, how their play changed afterward. I have no doubt that getting COVID affected Cam's play last year. But you can't not look at these numbers and look at the film on Cam and see that last year was just COVID. There were many factors in that. The receiving core wasn't the greatest. It was a revolving door due to injuries. Cam was dealing with COVID, and Cam's dealt with injuries that have affected the biggest parts of his play. He's had problems with his feet and his shoulders. More detailed, his throwing shoulder. He can't throw the ball deep. I'm a critic of Brady still being able to play because of the talent around him, because Brady has his 1 or 2 attempts at the deep ball every game. Other than that, he's kind of done after that. Cam Newton tried to throw the ball deep over and over, and it did not work. He would wind up the ball, look like he was going to throw deep, and then took it back in. It was one of the two. He either threw it deep for an interception, or the guy was open, and instead of throwing it, he tucked it back in and scrambled and got sacked. Over and over. So, am I necessarily happy about the deal? I mean, it brings a quarterback in to the room, and I think the move is more to say, hey, to receivers and tight ends that might be brought in, we have a quarterback. He's great in the locker room. You've seen him before. Come play for us. If they didn't sign Cam Newton here, who are they going to bring in that's going to pull in players to come play for them? People will want to play for Cam. He's shown that. But if they were to say bring in like Mitch Trubisky, who I would have at least thought about bringing in, I know I'm crazy, you're not going to draw in free agent interest. With this signing, you at least give the chance to bring in a guy like Kenny Golladay or Corey Davis or Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry. Like, you have the opportunities to bring in these guys that you wouldn't have before. So there are pros and cons to this. I'm not a huge fan of the deal, but I would have liked it for less money, considering I don't think Cam Newton deserved a pay raise after last year's play. But Cam Newton wasn't going to get an offer for another team, and the Patriots weren't going to be able to get a quarterback for as cheap as this. So it's a win-win for both of these guys. It's just going to matter of how is it going to affect on the field, and what are the Patriots going to do in the draft. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Hope you all enjoyed the last video. I know it's been a while, like a few weeks, but Patriots of the past doing well. I'm very happy with how that video turned out and the draw I got from it. The next one will be coming at some point. I've been very busy, so haven't necessarily had the time to sit down. I don't want to just throw something together last minute. That's not fair to you people watching. But hope you guys still enjoyed this. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And I'll see you all in the next video. And let's hope the Patriots know what they're doing this offseason.